Welcome to the Frontline with Dr. Gary Payenda. I'm glad you could join me today. We will be hearing from Justine Sachs. Justine, to those who have heard her talk, is an absolute powerhouse speaker, really a firecracker. And she's been active over the years in public commentary, not just for the New Zealand Nurses Organization, for which she works as a union organizer, dealing with issues of nurse understaffing, pay equity, changes to the law, but even more widely, she's been talking about human rights issues and writing on issues of politics and policy for years now, and has really lended her voice to socially progressive movements in Aotearoa. And there was a community meeting a couple weeks ago put on by Whangarei Labor, talking about what a socially progressive government looks like in this current political and economic environment. How do we get to a place where our government represents the needs of the marginalized and represents all New Zealanders, and in putting people first, people above profits? So she's always been interested in these issues, and I think you will appreciate her insights from the talk she gave, which was recorded at that community session. Whangarei Labor will be putting on roughly quarterly talks over the coming years, um, typically on issues of social progress, health, public policy, politics, taxes, and the like. So hopefully we'll get a wide representation um, from various political parties and outlooks and ideas, academicians, and frontline workers. So yeah, hopefully we can showcase some of those types of talks on the front line. So today, without further ado, we'll bring you Justine Sachs. I hope you find it edifying and informative and entertaining. Thanks for joining us on the front line.
We are fighting for nothing less than the future of our public health system, and we will not stop until we have safeguarded that taonga for generations to come. And I just want to call on everybody to stand not just with our nurses, but with all healthcare workers, our wonderful doctor comrades, allied health workers, and public servants, firefighters, teachers, and all of them who will be coming into bargaining now and coming up against this government and their agenda of austerity for private enrichment of the top 1%, okay? We are heading into a winter of discontent, where multiple unionized workforces will be coming into direct confrontation, and what we need now is unflinching solidarity. So I just want to call on you to come and stand in solidarity when you hear when the time comes, please. Look, I want to talk today about why I'm in Labour and why I believe that Labour needs to return to its working class roots, to renew not just this party, but to repair, and Dr. Gary has spoken about this, our broken our broken social contract and save our democracy. So, look, no big deal. These are small issues, okay? I want to tell you a little bit about my story, okay? I joined the Labour Party as, how old was I? 16-year-old, golly, in 2012. I joined the Labour Party because I was getting ready to go to university. I was from a single income working class family. My parents and my dad was disabled, had struggled to support me and my sister through tertiary study. I was politicised by the 2008 recession. Labour to me was the party of Michael Joseph Savage. It was the party of Norman Kirk, a party of working people and big ideas. Now, for a family descended from trade unionists and socialists in Eastern Europe, that felt like home, okay? In 2014, I left the Labour Party. I left because I didn't feel that Labour wanted to be the party of working people anymore. In 2023, I rejoined. And one of the reasons was Jacinda Ardern's leadership during the pandemic, okay? Because in a moment of global crisis against immense corporate pressure, the sixth Labour government had stood by Labour values and acted boldly to protect lives over corporate interests. And I will never forget that. And the people of Aotearoa responded to that. And they responded by electing Labour with a thumping majority. That moment mattered, okay? That moment mattered. And they want us to forget it. They want us to pretend that that supermajority never happened. But it mattered, and it happened. And we must never, ever, ever forget it, okay? It showed us what we need now, I believe, to climb out of the political and social quagmire we're in. That we need a party for working people. We need a Labour Party that has to be bold, unafraid. We need a party that fights tooth and nail to improve the lives of working people in Aotearoa, not one that tries to appease business and workers and ends up satisfying neither. Business has a party. They have three, in fact. They don't need a fourth. I don't want us to be a risk-averse party that chases polls and focus groups instead of setting the national agenda. This is not the 1990s anymore, folks. I wasn't fully conscious then, but I hear stories. People see public services and infrastructure crumbling around them. They know that their wages don't go as far. They're angry about soaring housing and rental costs, and they're looking for leadership. They're looking for someone to name the real problem: unbridled corporate greed and entrenched corporate power. And if we don't name it, the right will name scapegoats, okay? They will dog whistle. Look at ACT. Look around you. Look at the rise of global fascism. If we stay silent, if we stay risk-averse, if we stay fearful of having the fight we need to have, we leave the door open to hatred and division. Aotearoa is at a very critical juncture. We have a government committed to austerity and social division. The latest attacks on our public services come after decades of systematic underfunding by successive governments, and we have to be honest about that. Funding has not kept up with population growth, demand, or need. The public sector has been hollowed out and contracted out, even though we know that putting public goods in private hands is more expensive and less efficient in the long run. I come from, I've drove up here today from Tamaki Makaurau, a city of almost 2 million people. If you go to Europe with cities of similar population sizes, they have double the healthcare capacity. Yet we are told it is unrealistic and we cannot afford to have decent public healthcare in this country. Now let me ask you a question. Does anybody believe that? Do you believe as a country we cannot afford to have a public health system? No. Are we going to take that from any political party, telling us that we cannot afford to have the most basic things like to guarantee life? Are we going to take that? No. Yeah, I don't think so. Good. Okay. This is good. We're getting on the same page here. Listen, I'm going to be frank. As a Labour Party member, with my hanging my Labour Party values on my chest, okay? Labour in government hasn't done enough to reverse the damage, okay? And Labour in power has been too afraid to argue loudly and clearly for public ownership. But we must. Essential goods and services, the foundations of a dignified life, should be under democratic control, not run for private profit. It's a simple argument. It's not that hard to understand, actually. And we should be confident that the public can grasp the stakes. Our public health system is crumbling. What we're seeing now is the slow destruction of a taonga that was won by generations of struggle. I want to take you back to the Social Security Act of 1938, passed by the first Labour government. It created our public healthcare system, and it didn't fall from the sky. It didn't come because benevolent politicians decided to hand it to the people of Aotearoa. We fought for it, and it was a hard-won struggle. People lost their lives to create the welfare state that we and our parents and our grandparents have enjoyed and have brought us security and have given us the opportunities that, that I've enjoyed and that hopefully I can pass on to my children. And that's our legacy. That is Labour legacy. Yeah. And it is our duty now as Labour members to renew the struggle because things have gotten bad again and protect these Tongas. Yeah. Health is the absolute front line in this fight. I cannot emphasize that enough. Are we going to let big business shake us down every time we need to see a doctor? What about a dentist? No. What about if we need to get surgery? No. Or are we going to demand, and indeed win, services that remain and expand under public and democratic control? Yeah, okay. No, come on. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, this government has shown open contempt for public health and a clear desire to privatize our health system. And the public is concerned. The public knows. Yep. Now is the time to organize and show what's possible when we centre public good, not private profit. And that's why I want to talk to you today about the Health for All remits that are going to national conference this year, okay? And they call on Labour to commit to properly funding our health system, yeah? Providing universal, free at point of use primary health care, publicly funded aged care, and public dental services. Thank you. Does that sound bold? Yeah. Good, it should be. That's right. The status quo is collapsing, and like Gary said, you don't walk up to a forest fire and sprinkle water on it. You stop the arsonist and you put out the fire, okay? And that's what we need to do. We will either rebuild society or we will let it fall into inequality and authoritarianism. That's the choice before us. So we need to tell a different story, one that shows New Zealand where the money is, right? Because we all know there's money in this country. It's just not going to our communities. And that's why not only do we need to fight for robust and expanded public services, we need a tax policy that redistributes wealth in this country back to the communities that created it. And why there are people that are scared of having this fight? Let's be real, okay? Why? Why is it frightening to have this fight? Because it challenges power. It challenges power. And the ultra-wealthy will not go quietly into that good night, okay? They are going to scream. They are going to smear us. But a great man, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he's the guy that built the New Deal in the US. He said, we welcome their hatred. And so my message to big business is I welcome your hatred. And I want you to join me in welcoming their hatred, okay? Labour must embrace class politics again. Only a united, organised, multiracial working class can challenge the entrenched wealth and power we face and build a better world. Across the left, centre-left parties are in decline, okay? As Rex pointed out. Working class voters are walking away from us. And the answer is not more moderation and not more centrism and not more hand-wringing equivocation. It's time to try something different. And it's time, in The Lion King, Mufasa says to Simba, remember who you are. And I have that same message to Labour. We have to remember who we are. We are. We are the party of the organised working class. We are the party of Michael Joseph Savage. We are the party that built the welfare state and built the public healthcare system. We are the party of the many, not the few. We can rebuild trust. We can rebuild society. We can beat back fascism again, but only if we go back to our roots. So, just one more final comment is that Labour annual conferences have repeatedly passed remits committing to universal comprehensive healthcare, right? But we have yet to see those commitments reflected in an election manifesto or in our public messaging. It's time for members and affiliates to come together to insist that our party honour the founding principles that built our public health system and indeed Labour's support in the first place, yeah? It's universal, it's free, it's public, it's based on need and not on wealth. Now is the time for you as Labour Party members to be active in that fight. We need to demand it of our Labour leaders. We cannot wait. There is no time for equivocation. This election could not be more critical. And I know we say that every time. Every election we say this is the most important election. But truly, this is an absolutely critical election, and we cannot afford to go in there with our hands tied behind our backs with voters. And I can tell you that voters want to know where we stand, and we have to be clear with them that we stand on the side of working people, and that we fight for working people, and that we are going to improve the lives of working people. And so and so I call on all of us to make that a reality, okay, come 2026. Kia ora.